I'm happy to be joined by James Stevenson, Senior Community Manager at Insomniac Games. We're going to talk about Ratchet All for One. Yay. Thanks for coming.
It's super exciting to be here. Thanks.
And thanks for bringing the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So for those that don't know, they probably know that, okay, this is a 4-player co-op game in the Ratchet universe, but, I mean, it's not a collection of mini-games, as I think people are...
No. I mean, Ratchet and Clank All for One is a complete and full Ratchet experience. You have all 4 characters, you're going to have great cinematics, there's a story and progression through the whole game, so they're going to be exploring an alien planet that they don't know anything about and trying to work together to escape the planet, and the only way they can get off this planet is to, all work together, which kind of is crazy with Nefarious and Qwark and Ratchet and Clank all at the same time through the whole game.
So what's the setting? What brings them to the planet that they have to work together since they pretty much don't like each other?
So, at the end of A Crack in Time, they thought Nefarious was dead. We had the comics, which explain how Qwark becomes Galactic President, and eventually we find out, oh, maybe Nefarious isn't dead, and they show up for an event, and Nefarious is there to surprise them, but something goes horribly wrong in Nefarious's plans, and a giant machine comes out of nowhere and scoops them all up, and this machine's called the Creature Collector. It takes them to this prison planet where it's been scooping up creatures from all over the galaxy, and they're not exactly sure why they're there, and when they wake up, they realize, oh, we have to figure out a way off of this, and the only way to do it is if we all stick together and make our way through. So it all makes sense story-wise, and it kind of picks up right where the comic books left off.
So, I mean, there are some unique challenges to have sort of a very story-heavy cooperative game with stuff that's as frenetic and frantic as Ratchet gameplay. I mean, what's kind of the core game mechanic that's in the game? So
it's really all about weapons still. Ratchet and Clank has always been about weapons, and this game is too. And the kind of philosophy we have for the co-op weapons is that weapons are really powerful alone, but they're super powerful if you all use them together. And that can be everyone using the same gun and creating a huge overload effect. If it's the Thunder Smack, if you all build a big enough thundercloud, it's a huge lightning attack. Or you can separate out and specialize. If you use the Arc Lasher, you can stun an enemy while all your friends attack it, and it can't fight back.
One of the more clever things in the game is clearly everyone's been paying attention to other co-op games, and that some of the problems that seem to hamper them, somebody's not as experienced player, they get stuck back there, so people in the front of the screen can't go forward. You have these lashes, you have ways that allow the players who want to stay involved but aren't that skilled to actually keep playing.
Sure, you always have to deal with the challenge of people of different skill levels, because a lot of kids may want to play with their parents who don't play a lot of video games, or even it could be the other way around, where parents who play video games want to start playing Ratchet with their kids. So if you're falling behind, you can always just use your energy tether and jump ahead. We don't penalize for traversal deaths, so if you're not as good at getting around the environment, maybe you fall off the ledge or something like that, you just have to wait a few seconds and you spawn back in. And then if someone does die in the group, your friends can pick you up and revive you and move you to safety. So there's a lot of things to kind of encourage people to work together and not be overly harsh with the penalties for inexperienced players.
So what's the level we're looking at right now?
So this is Octonaut K, and it is a alien fishing village was kind of the inspiration for it. So Ratchet and Clank and Qwark and Nefarious have all shown up, and they're trying to get to this train station, but they have to go through, there's a big storm coming, and there's a lighthouse, and they have to fight their way through this fishing village, and there's kind of all these things like buoys, and you've got tortoises that they leap off the back of, you have these electric zombie jellyfish that you can't kill with weapons, you just have to knock them into the water with your, you have to use weapons though, because if you want to punch them, they'll electrocute you. And so there's all sorts of these strange sea creatures, and we've never really done an environment like this in a Ratchet game, so it was really exciting for us to kind of put this together, and we had a lot of fun, dreaming it up.
Now, one of the key weapons that you're actually moving the electric jellyfish around with is it's new to the game. It's kind of a vacuum, and it projects air as well.
Yeah, the main key new gadget for All for One is a gadget called the Vacu 3000, and you get this right off the bat in the game, and it's what you use to suck up bolts, it's what you use to suck up items in the environment and trigger items in the environment, but you can also use it to throw your friends, and it's really fun because your friends can jump into it, and then you can launch them across big gaps. You can also kind of be competitive with your friends and shoot them into the water or shoot them into enemies or knock enemies into your friends, so there's definitely some incentive to play a little dirty too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. While it is a cooperative game, there is some competitive qualities to it, such as bolt collecting. It does judge who got the most bolts in the course of it. How do you sort of keep the balance between, having to work with others to get through the level, but also trying to keep more for yourself?
Well, you can see up in the corner there's kind of a bolt collection counter, and it shows bars that show who's collected the most bolts. But the overall pool of bolts is shared. So really everyone's working towards the same goal, and you all get to share the main amount, but the person who does the best gets a bonus. So there's really more incentive to work together, but there's definitely kind of that oh, I got to rush and get to that bunch of crates before someone else does, or oh, I want to throw my friend off, or if someone goes down, everyone's going to rush to heal them, because if you heal someone who's dead, you get some of their bolts as well. So there's a lot of little things to make everyone work together, while at the same time all kind of compete and keep advancing as well.
One of the other things that's quite evident in the course of just this level is that you might start off with one gameplay style at the beginning of it, but there's enough changes that seem to happen throughout the length of that course that it's very much like a Ratchet game in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, Ratchet and Clank has always been about variety, and we have tons of that. You'll see later in this level, there's a boss battle, there's mini boss battle, there's also a whole jet skiing section where one of the bosses is chasing you and your friend with a boat shows up and you all use your tethers to jet ski behind this, and you're going off of ramps and jumping over mines. There's other segments in the game where you're on like a raft with everyone. So there's lots of things in there to kind of break up the gameplay so you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and that's something I think we've always prided ourselves on the Ratchet series.
Okay, now, one of the things that should stand out to anyone looking at it is that the game looks absolutely fabulous. This is actually a new piece of tech that you have not been using with the Ratchet and Clank series up until now.
Yeah, we're using kind of a director's cam, and that helps us keep everyone on the screen. So, I mean, this is the latest version of our engine, but really being able to focus where the camera is at all times lets us really polish those areas really, really well in terms of lighting and effects and all of those items. So we have, we have some of the most gorgeous-looking Ratchet environments, period.
I mean, because you said this is with the storm coming in, you can really sort of get a sense of the air whipping up debris in it. It really has a level of detail I've never seen before in the series.
Yeah, I mean, the windmill's blowing, and at a certain point you'll kind of see the funnel over the water coming closer, and it'll start to rain during the level. So we're trying to do a lot of things to keep each environment in the game feeling very different and bring all those aspects. One of the things, we've always wanted you to feel like you're in fantastic worlds when you're in a Ratchet and Clank game, and we've definitely been doing a really great job with this one so far. And the team in North Carolina has put a ton of work into it.
So how do the four characters play? Are they all the same, or do they have different, sort of special abilities?
So they will have some different special abilities, but we aren't talking too much about that yet. But there'll definitely be some light differences that'll keep people interested.
And just the mere fact that Nefarious is in the game. Qwark's a buffoon, but is ostensibly on the side of Ratchet and Clank. I mean, how is that going to sort of play into the game?
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about Ratchet and Clank All for One. It's like you have these four characters that don't really like each other, and that kind of ties to the competition elements that we've talked about too. You've got Ratchet and Clank who are pretty tight, but Qwark's a big idiot. Ratchet and Clank don't really care for him. He and Nefarious are blood enemies. Nefarious doesn't like Ratchet and Clank either. No one likes the situation they're in, but they all have to stick together if they're going to get through this in one piece.
And I think what we're looking at here is, I wouldn't call this a mini-boss level, but this is sort of an example of some combat.
Yeah, we try and introduce all of our enemies differently, and you can see Qwark here is using the arc lasher to stun this strafing minion, and throughout the game you run into lots of different things. You run into the creatures that the creature collector is collected from all across the galaxy and brought to this planet, but you also run into the creature collector's robot minions who are kind of all over the place and are trying to stop you. And you can see the big storm in the background and the lightning and the funnel coming together, so there's a lot of variety throughout the whole game with the enemies and the creatures and robots you run into.
And just to point out, this example where not everyone has the exact same weapon, but they're using the weapons in concert with one another to hold, like, what one person's holding the enemy in place, as everyone else kind of pummels it with guns.
Yeah, the arc lasher doesn't actually do any damage, but when Qwark's using it, it's using his ammo as he holds it, uses up its energy, but it stops the enemy from attacking and makes it super vulnerable so everyone else can team up to take it down. And
I was surprised too, and I think it's important for Ratchet fans out there, the strafe is still in this game.
Yeah,
one of those key and most effective qualities of any control scheme out there.
Yep, the weapon wheel is still in the game, so you're going to have all your weapons, they'll upgrade, you buy them, strafe is still in, so you can lock on in one direction and jump and strafe and do attacks that way. So the camera perspective is a little different, but all the core Ratchet gameplay is still really in here between bulk collection, weapons, the economy, and all those sort of things that fans have come to know and love from Ratchet and Clank.
Now, of course, we're seeing it with 4 players. This can be played with less than 4 players. Is it a different game if you have it with 3? Is it a different game when you have it with just yourself?
We balance it to be whatever, the amount of players that you have. You can play it alone, and if you play it alone, you will get to pick the 2 characters because you'll have one AI companion that'll help launch you over places, or you can launch it, and you can do all the co-op stuff in the game with just the AI as well. So if you don't have any friends or you don't go online, you can still play through the game alone if that's how you want to experience it. But it is a ton of fun to play with friends, and you can do it on the same couch together on one TV, or you can go online, drop in, drop out, and find new friends online to play with as well.
All right, awesome. When is All for One going to be coming out?
It's going to be coming out fall 2010.
All right, thanks so much for stopping by, James.